I watched How to Be an Ethical Slut. I live streamed it. And How to Be an Ethical Slut is about a woman named Blake. And she's reflecting, it's a one-woman show, and she's reflecting on her past lovers, her past sexual escapades, her past boyfriends, her past relationships, and she's talking about challenges that she faced in those relationships and how she got through them. She ends up being polyamorous with this man that she meets named Guy. And she met him because she cheated on her boyfriend, Benny, her first boyfriend, with Guy. And she ends up getting with Guy and starting to date him. But she still goes back and cheats on him with Benny. And so she is telling him about it, and he is asking her if she wants to be in an open relationship. And it's new at first, of course, but she slowly learns how to deal with being in an open relationship. And through the play, she reflects on the lessons that she's learned through those relationships that she's had. So on to the Stanislavski principles. So the objective. I think the biggest objective in this play was to learn from lessons in her previous relationships, and to ultimately find love. She had a lot of lessons that she learned through tough situations, and she wanted to impart that on her audience. She wanted to tell you what went wrong with her relationships and maybe what you can do better, and how she has learned why those things are wrong. She ultimately wants to find love, and she wants to identify what she wants. She doesn't know what she wants, who she wants. She's kind of lost at the beginning, and she figures out eventually in the end of the play that she wants to be an ethical slut. She wants to be in an open relationship, but she wants to be ethical about it. She doesn't want to date a married guy like Michael at the end, who's married and not in an open relationship. She wants to only be a slut with those who are okay being a slut, who their wives or their girlfriends or whatever wouldn't mind. She also has some obstacles in that. The biggest obstacle that she faced was the expectations of everyone around her, and probably her own expectations too. Everyone around her, like Riley, for example. She didn't even tell Riley that Guy was married because she knew that Riley wouldn't exactly accept that. She knew that Riley would look at Guy, who was in an open relationship with his wife, and tell Blake that she was going to get hurt and that his wife would always come first and all of that. So she didn't even bother telling Riley about her relationship with Guy, that part of her relationship. And in society, I mean, a lot of people wouldn't feel comfortable sharing that because it's not the norm. The norm still is, we've moved a long way, but the norm still is a heterosexual couple who are going to get married, and that wasn't exactly what she wanted. So she probably had to struggle through that a bit. I mean, she definitely was more comfortable toward the end with being in an open relationship than she ever was in the beginning. And that kind of showed her struggle with, is this even an okay thing to do? Is it okay to come up against society like this? I think for given circumstances, the biggest one is that she's a woman. She's a woman who has had a lot of sexual experience. And all of her previous relationships and sexual escapades helped her to learn what she was looking for, helped her to figure out what was ethical, what wasn't, what she felt comfortable doing, what she didn't. And I think that was really important for her development as a character. The stakes, her biggest stake, I think, was her relationship with Guy. She didn't want to lose him, but she still wanted to be herself, who she wanted to be. So she had to struggle through that a little bit. For tactics, I mean, she was really good at storytelling, so that was an important tactic for getting the audience to understand her. And she was good at making her audience understand her feelings, provoking a feeling in you that was similar to what she may have been feeling at that same time. As far as LeBon drives, she seemed to be maybe Flick. She was peppy, she was light, she didn't seem direct even in the storytelling. It was kind of hard to follow at some points because she was jumping around. And I think part of that was to show who that character was. The character wasn't completely direct, and I think part of the reason that she skipped around in the story was probably because she was literally just telling stories that came to mind. She wasn't trying to make this like a formal thing, because that's not who the character was. Blake was not someone who would sit down and just start going through like, yes, and then on this day I did this, and on this day I did this. She seemed like the type who'd just kind of have a casual conversation, just kind of loose, you know. She didn't seem bound at all in her movement. She was very free with her movement, very arms moving, very, you know, very comfortable. Like the kind of person that you'd want as a friend. So when she was acting as Blake, she was very indirect in her movements. She moved kind of quickly. She just seemed free in her movement, which is why I thought maybe Flick. And then she also switched LeBon drives at certain points, like when she talked from Guy's perspective. She seemed like an uptight, you know, like businessman kind of. She was really sustained in the movement, really bound movement, closer to her body, and it was stronger. So I thought that it was interesting that she switched. And then Riley, too, when she was acting as Riley, she was strong, she was quick, she was bound, and she was direct. It was a very, like, just strong person, like, kind of bossy. So as far as ratings, I would give this probably a 7 out of 10 smiley faces. I really liked the way that she told it. I thought that she was an amazing actress, but I just didn't really, I wouldn't have watched the play on my own time. It was a good play, but it's not something that I morally agree with or anything. But I'm sure that some people who would really enjoy this. So I gave it a 7 out of 10 because maybe it's not for me, but it could be for somebody else.